When I woke the following morning, Susato-san was already gone. Outside the window, the rain came down in sheets, and so began an even longer day. And so began an even longer day than the last, one that I would remember for the rest of my days. There we go. April 17th, 9:32 a.m., the Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber. Good morning, Gina. I'm determined to prove your innocence today. I'm sure we can do it. So where's your friend, then? Sorry? You know, in the fancy dress. Susato, however you say it. I don't know. Mrs. Sato had to leave early this morning. She was already gone by the time I woke up. You alright with that, are you? Forget about me if you like. Go and see her off. It's fine. It's not as though Mrs. Sato and I won't meet again. One day. Even so. But you, Gina, you only get one chance. This trial today is all we have. Good morning, you two. How are you feeling, Jenny? Did you manage to sleep? Oris, what are you doing here? What do you mean? When a friend is in need, we show our support. Isn't that right, Waggy? Oh, Waggy! Great way to show your support, kitty. Lame having nose around. What harm can it do? Oh, that reminds me. I bought a paper on the way here. Now, would you like the good news or the bad news? What do you say, Reno? Ginny? Oh, well, I think I'd rather get the bad news out of the way first. Nah, always take the good news first. You might not live to hear the bad. Yeah, that question always gives away people's personalities. Let's not go there. Alright then, I'll give you the bad news first. A record amount of rain has fallen this morning, and carriages all over the capital are struggling to move. Huh? The bad news was a weather report? So I hope that Susie made her train to Dover, and the train isn't delayed on its way to the port. Gosh, yeah. Alright then, so what's the good news? Well, the rain is forecast to subside this afternoon. So even if the train is delayed, it should be able to make up the time later. Well, that is good news, isn't it? Oh, I couldn't give a monkeys, really. If only all good news cancelled out the bad. And look, this trial has made the headlines too. Pawnbroker perishes in pick-purse plunder. See? How do you like that? Well, let them say what they want. See if I care. I can't, because you're covering your face. Don't worry, Rhoda will soon show everyone that this headline is nonsense. I will. And then, in tomorrow's papers, the headlines will be Discharge diver is dauntless do-getter. Isn't that right, Rena? Oh, yeah, let's hope so. Of course they will. I have absolute faith in you. How was that? I was trying to sound like Susie. Did it work? Did it? It's like she was still here. Thanks. Good luck then. Good luck then, Bruno. I'll do what I can. Pawnbroker perishes in pick-purse plunder? How awful. For Ginny, I mean. But tomorrow's headline will be Discharge diver is dauntless do-getter. Right? Yeah, something like that. If possible, I'd like to go even bigger. Bigger? How bigger? Proud pickpocket protects planet post-trial, perhaps? Protects planet? Oh, I can't wait for tomorrow now. It's gotta be so great. Pawnbroker, oh. Okay. So that's that. London news, everybody. Oh. What's this? There's a sensational story lower down the front page as well, look. Ministry Mole. Classified secrets might have been leaked overseas from Ministry of Justice. For a 10-year-old. Iris certainly has her finger on the pulse of world news. It's about secret communications between Great Britain and its allies. Apparently they're being intercepted by hostile nations. Communications are being intercepted? But how would somebody be doing that? That's the question, innit? I've come up with 3 different possible methods so far. Are you looking for a new career, Renault? No, of course not. I wonder. Perhaps this is what Lord Strongheart was talking about yesterday. Yeah, could be. And it could explain why he has Grexy running from pillar to post at the moment. Hey, there we go. I'm sure that will come and play sometime in the middle of this trial. Alright. Obviously I don't know the law like Susie does, but still. Oh. I'll be by your side the whole time, giving you moral support and encouragement. I'm not sure that big thing is as comforting as you think it is, to be honest, but thank you, Iris. That's very kind of you. Oh, Iris? Yes, Jenny? Well, I was wondering, is all, about Sholmes. Did they fix him up alright? Yeah, the operation was a great success, but Early still hasn't come around yet. I've asked a friend of mine at Scotland Yard to send a telegram as soon as he wakes up. I'm sure Gregson will let us know the moment there's news. Oh, right. No Society-san and no Mr. Sholmes. It's all down to me today to prove that Gina is innocent of this crime.
Miss Jane Lestrade, counsel for the defense, the trial is about to begin. Please make your way into the courtroom.
It's time then. Yeah, let's go, Gina. Iris. Lead the way, Reno. Alright. Walking in with 2 children. Poor Gina. She's trying to put on a brave face, but I can tell she's worried and scared. I have to believe in her from start to finish. That's the weapon that will secure our victory here. If I learned anything from my great friend, it's that. It is that.
In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. This trial shall determine the guilt or innocence of Miss Gina Lestrade. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed.
The prosecution is ready. The defense is ready.
Lord Van Zeeks, my lord, remind me, how many years ago was it that you withdrew from the public prosecution service?
It was some 5 years ago, my lord.
Yes, and then 2 months ago you resurfaced somewhat unexpectedly, and here you are again today. Are there some circumstances of which the court should be aware of that have led to this erratic behavior? In what one might describe as your former life 5 years past, you dealt exclusively in matters concerned with the highest echelons of society and government.
Really?
Yet today you choose to try a simple case of burglary and murder. I confess I find it more than a little befuddling, counsel. There are two types of person I cannot abide. Firstly, those wealthy scoundrels who hide behind the mask of philanthropy to cheat the public at large.
He means Mr. McGill did, who you defended against the Reaper 2 months ago. Yeah, I just about managed to work that out. Thank you. Magnus McGill did. If I'd known what a monster he was, I never would have defended him.
And secondly, even more loathsome, those vile scoundrels who masquerade as allies only to effect total betrayal in the final hour. In other words, the confidence tricksters from those tiny islands of the Far East, the Nopponese.
What? Did he really just say that? He means you now, Runa. I actually managed to work that out too. Thank you, Iris. Total betrayal? What are you talking about? That torrid look of hatred in Lord Van Zeek's eyes. Was that directed solely at me? Or was he talking about all Japanese people?
An alarmingly scathing explanation, Lord Van Zeeks. Still, the judiciary welcomes the return of the so-called Reaper of the Bailey, feared by all London's malefactors.
Your lordship is too kind.
Now, jurors, the 6 of you have been selected at random to represent the will of the people in this trial. Are you ready to hear the evidence placed before you and determine the guilt or innocence of the defendant?
I'm seeing a lot of familiar faces.
Former lieutenant in the British Army here, don't you know? Chaps like me were born ready.
Clean cookery, clean cutlery, and a clean conscience. His lordship's motto is very appropriate here, I think. Everything will be serious topic in the future. Absolutely. Absolutely everything. And I'm ready for it.
I don't understand it. I can't have left it in there. It's not possible. Could I have?
Women indispensable in society. Stop. Female-centric future awaits. Stop.
Good day. I am visiting London for sightseeing. I would like to take a bus to Crystal Tower, please.
Is something wrong, Runa? Oh, not exactly. It's just... I'm fairly sure I recognize these jurors. Almost all of them, in fact. Really? Funny coincidences like that do happen from time to time, don't they? But it is quite strange. The jurors are chosen at random from London's 6 million inhabitants, you know. So I've been led to believe, but something tells me I'm being duped.
Very well. Now, Lord Van Zeeks, the court calls upon the prosecution to introduce the facts of the case.
As you wish, my lord.
Allow me to begin with a word of warning to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury. In short, there has never been a more self-evident case of cold-blooded murder. The victim, Mr. Pop Windybank, proprietor of a pawn shop on Baker Street, was shot from behind and died instantly. The prosecution presents this photographic print of the crime scene. As the court will observe, there is a single bullet wound just below the gentleman's left shoulder. The evidence suggests that the bullet pierced the man's heart, resulting in near-instant death. Moving on to the findings of Scotland Yard's coroner. His report states that the bullet enters the body on a rising diagonal trajectory.
And what's that supposed to tell us?
It means the victim was likely shot by someone significantly shorter in height than himself. Someone like the accused, you might say.
Or someone who was crouching down or completely prone on his back? Sure, maybe. Oh!
The prosecution wishes to present the autopsy report and crime scene photograph as evidence, my lord. Indeed, the court accepts. Hand them to the bailiff, please.
There we go. And... oh. Sorry about that. My controller just died. Okay. I can do this, though. There we go. Crime scene entered in the court record.
I now ask the court to turn its attention to this plan of the establishment where the incident occurred. The proprietor was found in the storeroom where he kept articles pawned to him, as a windowless room with a single point of entry, a door to the main shop that was found locked. In this sealed chamber, there were only 2 persons present. The victim, Mr. Windybank, and the accused.
I thought you learned your lesson by now, Van Zeeks. Every place has more than one entrance.
It may further interest the court to know that when the accused was discovered at the scene, she had in her hands a gun used to fire the fatal bullet.
Well, that I can't do much about.
Well, that's that then, isn't it? Nothing more to say. Isn't that grubby little girl a pickpocket anyway? She's one of those filthy Japs that live in the slums in the East End.
Oh well, it was only a matter of time before she got blood on her hands then.
What are the jurors waiting for?
The girl's guilty. We can't jump to conclusions here. We mustn't assume her guilt because of what she has to do to survive.
My learned Nipponese friend,
it is you who mustn't jump to conclusions. The prosecution has barely begun presenting its case. Conveniently, this appalling act of murder did not go unobserved. There were witnesses. Good gracious! After their testimonies, this girl's true nature will be exposed. Pit for pick-purse or cold-hearted killer. Here's to establishing the truth. The court will take the floor plan and firearm into evidence. Hand them to the bailiff, please, Lord Van Zeeks.
at once, my lord.
And there we go. And there we go. Signs of a single discharge. This isn't good. I feel like the mood in here has turned very gloomy all of a sudden, Runa. I think that's because it has.
Let us begin. Bring forth the witnesses to the foul murder of Mr. Pop Windybank on 16th of April of this year. Witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court.
Name's Nash Skulkin. Occupation is, Batty. Professional Batty.
Name's Rango Skulkin. Occupation's, same as him. Tobias Gratchen, Scotland Yard Inspector.
That's right. We're what they call the Three Skulkin Brothers.
What are you doing that at me for? Don't let me in with you lot.
Cold blimey, that's cold. Don't you know what we're going through?
It's our older bruv. Lots of contact with him we have. So we scare on every side of the corner of the kettle.
And then last night we come across you. To the very spit of the bloke. Ain't that right, Ringo?
He is, Nash, he is. The very spit of him.
So we decided there and then what we was gonna do. We was gonna call ya Big Bruv Skulky.
Big bruv Skulky. Come on, leave it out, you two.
Skulky Skulkin? And that's before he's run out of chips.
Well then, Inspector Skulky Gregson.
Begging your pardon, my lord, but the name's Tobias.
What I would like to know, Inspector, is what you are doing in the witness stand. The Skulking brothers are currently under arrest, my lord, on suspicion of theft. Thieves, are they, these three?
Now, my lord, begging your pardon, but please don't lump me in with this lot.
2 nights ago, these 2 brothers illegally entered an establishment with intent to burgle. And in the course of their nefarious activities, they became embroiled in a far more sinister crime. By Jove, you mean to say? What an extraordinary coincidence!
Indeed, my lord.
While attempting to burglarize the pawnbrokery, they witnessed its proprietor's murder.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Order! Order!
The various trespasses of these brothers is not the subject of today's proceedings,
So they will naturally face trial in the very near future.
With your lordship's permission, I'd like to remain to stand to keep these gents on the straight and narrow.
Of course, Inspector. Skeptical as I am about the caliber of these witnesses, I will permit them to take the stand.
Mr. and Mr. Skulkin.
You will now testify before the court. Describe the events of the night in question, and what exactly you saw.
Happy to.
'Cause the Skulkin's never skulking.
Get out of it. Okay. We was walking down Baker Street in the small hours, and the gaff's door was ajar, see?
It was like some kind of sign, begging for us to go in, it was.
But once we got inside, core blimey lummy, we heard a gunshot from the back room.
We went to see what was what, but the door was locked from the inside.
We never done nothing, Governor. We never took nothing. We just left after that, nice and quiet. Right.
A terrible coincidence, it would seem. At the precise moment these miscreants entered the property, an even more sinister crime was afoot.
The witness's testimony is consistent with the crime scene in every detail.
The door providing access to the storeroom from the main shop was indeed locked from the inside, and within, only the victim and the accused were found.
Yet when you arrived, not when it actually happened.
I must say, it does appear to be an overwhelmingly simple case. Still, the defense may cross-examine the witnesses now, of course. Counsel, if you please. Counsel?
Yeah. What's the matter, Rena? Sorry, I was just stunned into silence for a minute by the blatant lies being told by that pair in the stand. I know that it's all nonsense, because I saw it with my own eyes. I'll just have to expose their testimony for the packs of lies it is. Here we go. Well, first of all, let's look into the new evidence that we got. Autopsy report. Died between 1 and 1:30 a.m. Victim's back. Instant death from a posterior bullet wound to the heart. Huh. Interesting. There's a picture. Floor plan. The gun. This is Mr. Windybank's gun. The cylinder is completely empty. Mr. Windybank always used to keep this gun to hand on his shop car. Yeah, but only ever with a single bullet loaded, I understand. That's right, to keep all the pawn articles that were in his care safe. But his one bullet was fired that night, and the poor man lost his life. Was he protecting his shop, I wonder? Trying to keep the articles safe? Yeah, that's possible. He could have shot the attacker, and the attacker shot him with his own revolver. There's no proof. There's no ballistic markings or whatever. Not yet, anyway, right? So maybe. So the only thing we can examine is the cylinder. Is there something on the bottom? Maybe some blood, a blood sample here or there. No? Okay. I guess that's it then. Alright. We was walking down Baker Street in the small hours, and the gaff's door was ajar, see? The front door of Windybanks was ajar, you say? What time of night was that? Must have been about 1, right, Ringo?
Yeah, I'd say so. Right, Skulky?
How would I know? A place would have been shut away in the morning. That's all every other shop in town. Well, it was pitch black inside, it's true. Ain't that right, Ringo?
Oh, I'm not so sure, Nash. I seem to remember a little light burning inside. What about you, Skulky, me old mucker? Leave me alone.
There definitely was a small lamp burning inside. That's what alerted us to the situation in the first place.
And when these gentlemen ventured into the open establishment, the accused, Miss Gina Lestrade, already has the muzzle of her gun trained on the unfortunate victim.
Objection.
That is pure conjecture.
Perhaps, but it changes nothing. These brothers inadvertently wandered into the middle of a cold-blooded murder, simply because they found the door of the victim's establishment open and ventured inside.
Right, that's what happened.
It was like some kind of sign, begging for us to go in, it was.
Hold it.
What are you trying to suggest? That you had to go in? Well, God moves in mysterious ways, they say. Don't they, Ringo?
They do, Nash, they do. Must have been some sort of providence, I reckon.
God's will often presents itself as the whim of thieves, does it? It weren't no whim. I'm dead sure of that.
It weren't, Nash, it weren't. Like we said at the time.
You don't just find doors open in the middle of the night like that. Nah, there's no two ways about it.
It was a sign that our lost brother was inside.
They're not very good lawyers, are they?
Well, you can't deny it. It led us to a bloke what looked just like our bruv.
I said cut it out. Those chips are getting a chomping today. But once we got inside, core blimey lummy, we heard a gunshot from the back room.
Hold it.
A gunshot, you say? Just the one? Are you sure about that? Yep, just the one, Governor. I can swear to that.
It was, Nash, it was. Ain't that right, bruv? The firearm used belonged to the victim himself.
Yeah, Mr. Winterbat always used to leave his gun lying around on the counter. Right, I remember.
When we examined it, we found the revolver was completely out of rounds.
That makes sense. Mr. Winterbank always used to say he only ever kept a single bullet loaded. That's true, I remember him saying that as well, but does that mean that he used it, or does that mean that someone else used it? We don't know for sure.
So we can say without considerable certainty that only a single round was discharged from the firearm used as the murder weapon.
Oh, okay, so because according to their testimony, which we know is lies, they say that they only heard a single gunshot, but that's not true because they shot Sholmes. So, what the hell?
Yes, my lord, we can.
And I should remind the court that the firearm in question was discovered in the hand of the accused.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
We went to see what was what, but the door was locked from the inside.
Do you mean the door between the main shop and the storeroom?
If my learned friend is having difficulty grasping the situation, perhaps a drawing would help. Excluding this shop's entrance from the street, there's only one other door, that of the storeroom.
Of course, there was only a little oil lamp burning, not much to see by.
I'd always hidden behind a curtain and all.
That's right. When we arrived, the door was mostly obscured by the curtain. Tell me, why exactly did you try to open that door?
I?
Any normal petty thief would run at the sound of a gunshot, I should think. Oh, well, your turn to rabbit, Rango.
Well, Nash, yeah. I suppose you'd have to say we ain't normal, eh?
Broadly speaking, humans respond in one of two ways on hearing a gunshot or scream. The timid flee gripped by fear, while the courageous investigate to see if they might help. These gentlemen of the latter inclination, my learned Nipponese friend it would seem, is of the former.
Alright, somehow I just proved that I was a coward that night.
Thank you, counsels. So, I believe we all understand that the door was locked and could not be opened. Proceed, witnesses.
We never done nothing, Governor. We never took nothing. We just left after that, nice and quiet. You didn't do or take anything? Is that your story? Well, it was Bedlam soon as, weren't it?
It was, Nash, it was. Didn't even have time to pull me juice out of me lazy luggage.
So with no time to take your hands out of your pockets, you just left. Nice and quietly, you say? That's right, Governor. Nothing we ate more than violence. Peace-loving nibblers we are, not bludgers.
We are, Nash, we are. Never even pulled me juice out of me lazy luggage.
So you'd clearly like us to believe. Come again. As you fled from the pawnbrokers that night, did you not run into anyone else? And did you not fire a gun at that person?
Saints alive, they fired a gun, you say?
Blimey, Governor.
You ain't tell us it was you in the doorway?
It was.
What a blatant Nora.
Didn't you mention that before? You were armed with a gun, and as you fled the scene, you fired that gun at London's greatest detective, Sherlock Sholmes.
I shot the great Mr. Sholmes? I did hear that, actually. There was a rumor he'd been rushed to hospital. The great Sholmes is beyond the pale.
On the night in question, this pair were arrested by the police within minutes of discovery at the crime scene. Their suspicious countenance rapidly gave them away. And when searched, a firearm was indeed found in their possession. Furthermore, the barrel shows signs of a shot having been fired from it. The prosecution invites his lordship to examine the firearm recovered from these brothers.
Yes, indeed. Remnants of powder around the muzzle, as you say, counsel. The court will hold this weapon as evidence.
There we go, there we go. We're getting somewhere.
Now, my learned Nipponese friend,
Yes?
here's to you successfully presenting the evidence. For yes, there are the telltale signs of spent powder on this gun, and a single bullet missing from the cylinder. But the prosecution demands evidence that was fired at the scene of the crime under scrutiny in this trial.
Well, I don't need evidence, because I was there.
However, the rest of us in this courtroom were not. If the defense fails to provide evidence in support of its rash claim, we shall have no choice but to toast your incompetence and move on.
Evidence that these two fired that gun before they left Windibanks that night.
The court demands that all claims are affirmed with clear proof. What evidence shows that these witnesses unloaded a firearm in the pawnbroker's shop that night?
The blood portfolio?
Take that!
The evidence is in this portfolio.
What on earth have you there, counsel?
During the course of our investigations, we discovered a number of bloodstains.
Not trusting the police to do the jobs they trained to do? How arrogantly Nipponese of you.
Well, anyway, we analyzed all the blood samples we found and recorded the results in this portfolio.
And you claim to have the evidence the court is demanding therein?
Yes, my lord.
No more dallying then, counsel. Present the pertinent evidence at once. What do you have in your portfolio that proves these witnesses unloaded a firearm at the scene?
Not that. Not that. This.
Take that!
What is that? Explain!
It is a photographic print taken at Windibank's pawnbrokery on the day of the incident.
From the scene of the crime, is it? Is that a bullet hole? And if my eyes don't deceive me, it appears the bullet is still lodged there.
Yes, as your lordship noticed, the bullet pierced Mr. Windibank's calendar. The date shown being the 16th of April, the very day of the pawnbroker's death.
The incident occurred at 1 hour after midnight, but this indicates that a separate shot had been fired sometime after the calendar had been set to the 16th.
That's right, and while it isn't irrefutable, the defense believes this is credible evidence that the witness did fire a round from their gun in the pawnbroker's that night. Ah!
Order! How does the prosecution stand, Lord Van Zeeks?
If that is the direction my learned friend wishes to take, the prosecution has no objection.
What?
But you'll forgive me for flinging my hollow chalice aside in disgust at the repugnancy it exposes. Yes, on the night in question, these brothers entered the brokery illegally. And like the bold baddies they claim to be, opened fire on the new arrivals before fleeing back onto the street.
Hey! Take it easy there, Governor. You're gonna land us in the soup.
We had a deal. You won't get into them details. Tell him, Skulkin. Set the boat straight. I have nothing to add.
So he knew, did he? Van Zeeks knew their testimony would almost certainly expose the extent of their crimes?
It would seem now that I owe my learned Nipponese friend a word of gratitude.
What do you mean?
What I mean is that you have helpfully confirmed an important fact.
To what fact do you refer, Lord Van Zeeks?
As has been established, at the point of their arrest, a single shot had been fired from the brother's gun. However, if that shot found its target in Mr. Sholmes, then clearly these witnesses cannot be accused of the fatal shooting of the proprietor and victim. In other words, these two men have no material connection to the murder of Mr. Windybank at all.
So that's it. That's it. We didn't have nothing to do with it.
We didn't, Ash, we didn't. That's what I reckon. Your crimes include unlawful entry, intent to steal, perjury, and, let us not forget, attempted murder.
Quite careless, guy, fellas.
We're in for it now, bruv. Now then, let us take a moment to consider the aforementioned great detective, Mr. Sherlock Sholmes. It would seem the man patronized the pawnbrokers in question somewhat regularly.
Where's he going with this?
Mr. Sholmes appears to take pleasure in tinkering with eccentric machinery.
Eccentric? Says who? Not me. Don't give me that look.
He installed a pair of machines like this one in the victim's shop.
Oh, that's one of Early's red-handed recorders.
What is that, Counsel? It has the appearance of a photographic contraption. As your lordship has summarized, it is indeed a camera attached to a small timing device.
Every half an hour, it automatically photographs the interior of the establishment. The idea being that if a thief were to break into the shop, he would be caught red-handed.
The prosecution has obtained the photographs taken by the device on the night in question. "8:30 p.m., 9 p.m., 9:30 p.m. As the court will observe, copious identical prints are produced in a quite desultory fashion." Rather prodigal, I feel. In fact, there are two such devices in the victim's shop, my lord. If I may refer the court to the plan of the premises, their respective positions are here and here.
You say these cameras produce a print every half hour. I'm afraid I fail to see how that would help if the anticipated thief conducted his activities in one of the many 30-minute intervals.
One can only pray that would-be criminal lingers, my lord. On the night in question, the witnesses currently in the stand were not caught on camera.
Hee, that's a bit of fried tuck, eh, bruv? Lucky Lady Luck loves the Skulkin.
Witnesses, at what time did your trespassing begin?
Hey, must have been just after 1, right, bruv?
Must have been, Nash, must have been. Yeah, just gone 1. In which case, minutes before these brothers entered the establishment. What scene might we expect to see within the shop? Let us examine the evidence.
Good lord, it's the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade.
Uh-oh. I wish I knew about that.
As the court could clearly see, the accused is pictured, gun in hand, facing the victim over the shop counter, no doubt coercing the proprietor to open the door to his storeroom.
Quite. One can only too easily imagine the events that unfolded. The court will take this photographic print as evidence, if you please, counsel.
Oh dear.
I don't believe it. Jenny. In short, the accused is the only person who could possibly have killed Mr. Windybank.
Ah!
I say, my lord.
Who said that?
Oh, I say, my lord. Wonder if I might put in a word at this point. Go ahead, Mr. Foreman. Took a bally bullet to the knee in the Battle of Mayland. 1880, don't you know? Decorated for it and all that, but forced to retire from service, sadly. Of course, a medal could never outshine the exploits of chaps like us on the battlefield. Yes, Mr. Foreman, and what exactly is your point? Carried on the battle after retirement, you see. Carried on the battle after retirement, you see. The battle of daily life, if you like. And here I am now, leading the small squadron, 6 men, all good and true. And we'll go down together, you mark my words, one for all, and all for one.
The ladies and gentlemen of the jury have reached agreement, have they? Is that what we are to understand?
Well, Mr. Foreman, is that correct? In a manner of speaking, yes. That is the Gyaradev Squadron's position, sir.
What? No, it's too soon to make a judgment. Stand to report for the court, men. On the double. His lordship insists on promptitude at all times, and that goes for making decisions too. I think you'll find the truth is as clear as day now. I could reach out and touch it.
I wouldn't have left it in there. I just wouldn't. But in all honesty, I can't actually remember.
Situation clear. Stop. No room for doubt. Stop. Truth now undeniable. Stop.
I am very sorry for brothers. They are unlucky.
Very well. I now call upon each member of the jury to state his or her leaning in this matter. Announce your concerted verdicts to the court.
Guilty.
Guilty.
Yep.
Guilty.
Yep.
Guilty.
Uh-huh.
Guilty.
Right.
Guilty.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you very much.
It does indeed appear that the jury is unanimous in its leaning already.
That photograph. It must be the definitive evidence that Gregson mentioned. But Jane didn't shoot him? No, of course not. My lord, the defense wishes to assert its right to a summation examination.
Very well, the court grants permission.
So, you refuse to admit defeat again? How unsurprising.
We shall proceed immediately with the summation examination. Mr. Foreman, are all members of the jury ready? Absolutely, sir. Always ready for action, my chaps. Very good. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will each explain on what grounds you have determined the defendant to be guilty. Oh, the evidence clearly points the finger of guilt at this young pickpocketeen.
As a housemate, I should like to see all VC eyesores promptly and rigorously eliminated. I think you'll find that if you look at this photograph in stereo, the truth will just pop out.
If I left it in there, I should think there'll be repercussions by now.
Mind made up. Stop. Global radio transmission ready to follow. Stop.
In motherland we say never judge by clothes, judge by head. I am convinced brothers are innocent. The circumstances of the crime and evidence do indeed implicate the defendant rather comprehensively.
The storeroom locked from the inside, in which the victim and the accused were discovered alone, and in the accused's hands a fatal revolver, the firing of which was heard by these witnesses.
Not to mention this print. Take it from a chap who's seen action on the battlefield. That young girl's on the verge of pulling their bally trigger.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Sholmes. Oh dear. All these cameras were supposed to help, not hinder.
I'm afraid I think you have an uphill struggle ahead of you.
But Gina didn't shoot Mr. Windybank. Which means there's more to this situation than we've yet to see. Agreed.
You have the floor, Counsel. Proceed with the summation examination.
With pleasure. Let's do this.
All the evidence clearly points the finger of guilt at this young pickpocketeer.
You're Mr. Natsumi's landlord, Mr. Garrett, aren't you? We must really stop meeting like this.
Ah, you're that lawyer chap. Well, there's a turn up for the books. Yes, rather a turbulent time we had back then.
Some extraordinary events took place at your house, that's for sure. Luckily, Mr. Sholmes and I were able to get to the bottom of it all. But I think we did rather a lot for you, didn't we? I mean, obviously, I wouldn't be suggesting that, therefore you should change your leaning to not guilty or anything.
Can't be denied, I suppose. The curse of the Garrett house was the talk of the town after that business. Lodgers moved out, and I couldn't get a bally soul to take up the tenancies.
Oh,
Haven't had the heart to break the news to Jonah yet. Bad enough that the old girl's clapped up. Yes, can't be denied. You did do rather a lot, but not for us, that's for dash certain.
I suppose not.
Course. There can be no suggestion of that being the reason I am leaning towards guilty here, obviously.
Obviously, but honestly, I really wish he'd pay more attention to the trial and less to juror number 2.
As a housemaid, I should like to see all filthy assholes promptly and rigorously eliminated.
Hold it!
Polishing the bench, I see. Again.
A maid's work is never done. Not a blemish must remain.
What exactly do you mean by filthy eyesores?
On my way to the market for his lordship, I have to pass through the East End. The place is full of beggars, pickpockets, and crossmen, the scum of the earth.
A little harsh, perhaps?
Let me be plain. If it were up to me, all those backstrums would be made spick and span or eradicated. At least we have people like the great detective working to achieve these important goals.
You're referring to Mr. Hollock Sholmes.
That's right. I like to keep abreast of his exploits by reading Rent's magazine in between my duties. He does wonders cleaning up London streets. In my opinion, he should be declared an honorary maid of the capital.
Mr. Sholmes, a maid.
It's really quite unforgivable. Gutter scum having the audacity to shoot our very great detective.
Minor detail, it was the 2 brothers in the stand who shot Mr. Sholmes, not the defendant.
A minor detail indeed. They're all gutter scum as far as I'm concerned.
Well, it just might be an idea to get our facts straight, anyway.
Yes. Alright, I shall amend my statement. Those brothers are the scum of the earth. They should swing for shooting the great detective.
Hold it!
I agree with you. The shooting of Mr. Sholmes was an unforgivable act. But the purpose of this trial is to determine who shot the pawnbroker, Mr. Windybank.
I'm afraid you're splitting hairs, sir.
Sorry?
Whether it was the thieves or the pickpockets, it was still gutter trust the sort of pawnbroker in the end. Thieves that should be cleaned up and eradicated, in my considered opinion.
Thanks so much for sharing. Changing this maid's mind isn't gonna be easy.
Reno, it was one of those 2 brothers you shot early, wasn't it?
Yeah, without question. Well then, I'll never forgive him. Oh, Iris. Perhaps we can use this might statement to help us somehow, do you think? Yeah, maybe. Let's listen carefully to what each juror has to say first. Alright. I think you'll find that if you look at that photograph in stereo, the truth will just pop out.
Hold it!
What do you mean, look at the photograph in stereo? Sorry, what? Don't you know? If you look at the photographic print normally, it looks as though the pickpocket girl is about to shoot the victim, obviously.
Protection.
But there's no indication that the defendant ever fired the gun. All I'm saying is that if you look at the same print in stereo, it could reveal all sorts of new information. By any chance, are you a fan of stereoscopes?
Ooh, how did you know?
Let's go on a lucky guess.
It never gets old, seeing the two prints merge into one before your eyes. It's extraordinary, it's captivating, it's the height of modernity.
Of course.
Oh yes, I think you'll find that the stereoscope is here to stay, giving us new perspectives we could only dream of before. It is the greatest invention the world has ever seen.
If only you could give me a new perspective on this case, I might agree with you.
If I left you in there, I should think there'll be repercussions by now.
Hold it!
What exactly have you been muttering about all this time, sir? You keep talking about having left something somewhere or something like that.
Sorry. As you can probably tell, I'm a surgeon.
A surgeon? That totally passed me by.
Of course, people conducting surgery in this country aren't considered to be doctors. Oh no. Even though me and my kind are at the forefront of medical science, the real brains of the field.
So what is it that you think you've left behind?
Ah, well, that's a little embarrassing to be honest. You see, I was operating on someone yesterday. A standard thing, went in through the abdomen. But when I had finished the procedure, I couldn't find my scalpel anywhere.
What? Did he? Surely not.
Exactly! Surely not, you say to yourself, don't you? Worrying, isn't it? That's what's been troubling me this whole time. Could I really have left my scalpel inside the fella's belly? No, of course I couldn't. So, there you have it. Like I said, a little embarrassing, really.
That's one way of putting it. The other is manslaughter.
That's exactly my concern, and seeing as this case appears to be all but sewn up, I need to focus on trying to remember exactly what I've sewn up elsewhere. Now, I'm sure I made sure everything was back as it should be. Well, as sure as you can be without being sure.
I'm sure you need to be more sure. Mind made up. Stop. Global radio transmission of verdict to follow. Stop.
Hold it!
Sorry, radio transmission? What do you mean? Are you from the Far East? Stop. Yes, from the Empire of Japan. All communication with Far Eastern nations used to take place by mail. Royal Mail steamers take more than a month to complete their journey. Ah, but now we have the electric telegram, so we can send messages using electrical signals. Thousands of miles of cables have been laid along the ocean beds, connecting the entire world. Thousands of miles of cable on the ocean bed? It makes my head hurt just thinking about it. You are well informed, young lady. Hee hee. But cables will soon become a thing of the past. Stop. Just when I was starting to catch up.
Radio transmission in the future. Stop. Messages carried over airways to four corners of the globe. Stop. Air excitement growing. Stop. Atmosphere electric. Stop.
Right. Try not to wear out your fingers.
Era of wireless telegraphy. Stop. Driving technological revelation. Stop.
And people say inventions like the stereoscope are the height of technology. What utter piffle. I can't understand it. I really can't. They're just silly toys. Oh, Whoa, what's going on here?
Excuse me.
Juror number 3. Sorry to interrupt when you're obviously fuming, but... What? Do you perhaps have something to say about juror number 5's last remark? As if I couldn't guess.
Oh, you bet I do. Say that again. Go on. I dare you.
That's not his voice. Goodness, are you talking to me? I think you just might be. Yeah. What was his voice? He was like, you think stereoscopes are just toys, do you? Huh? Absolutely. I mean, really, a machine to view photographs in 3 dimensions? Why on earth would you not just use your eyes to look at the world around you? It's all 3-dimensional. What a great way to appease the man. No, I'm sorry. Stereoscopes are of no practical use at all. You just don't know. Pardon? I think you'll find that viewing a photograph through a stereoscope can unlock all sorts of possibilities. I'm obviously going to have to demonstrate. What sort of possibilities? Well, take a crime scene, for example. If you had a pair of photographs from a crime scene that you could view through a stereoscope, it could reveal hidden clues you'd never even noticed before. What? Have you got any, Reno? Any prints we could look at with a stereoscope? Absolutely. How about this print here? It should do the trick, I think. This. Before we do that, actually, let's examine these things. So, there's ammunition still loaded in 5 of this revolver's 6 cylinders. Yeah, which tells us that only a single shot has been fired from it. Exactly. The bullet that hit early, in fact, isn't it? Yeah, it happened almost as soon as we'd walked in, and it happened almost as soon as we'd walked in through Windy Bank's door. I'll make those brothers pay. Anything suspicious? Anything different? Anything noticeable? At the bottom? In the barrel? Nope. Okay. There we go. Alright then, juror number 3. Are you saying you can do this with any 2 suitable photographic prints? Of course I can. Very well then, I'd like you to demonstrate. I'd be delighted to. Just give me one more print and I'll amaze you all. Oh, I don't have another print. I don't have another print. I wasn't supposed to show him that. I was supposed to show him this. Damn it. There you go. Wait, sorry? What do you mean, one more print? Oh dear, dear. Don't you have these in the Far East? Don't you know how stereoscope works? Reno. What? You need 2 photographs for a stereoscope, remember? You know, one for the left eye and one for the right. Oh yeah, I remember now. But the print we have from the pawnbroker is just a normal photograph. No. I think you'll find that the clue is in the name. It is a stereoscope, not a monoscope. You always need 2 prints. Thanks for the friendly explanation. Well, if we obtain another print at some point later in the trial, we can always show it to this young man then. Ha ha ha! I think you'll find that know-it-all expression is really starting to annoy me.
Let's get let's get things back on track, shall we, Kazu?
Well, that was a waste. Oh, but he changed his statement. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Okay. It's very interesting.
Hold it!
Oh. All we need is another shot from a slightly different location, and we could see the scene in 3 dimensions. Can it really show up new clues, though? Don't know unless you try. How about this print here? It should do the trick, I think. Oh. Take a look at this. Oh, I was wrong. I can't actually think of anything we could use at all. What? Really? Oh dear, I think maybe I need to have a stereoscopic look at your brain sometime. What's that supposed to mean? Alright. If I have lived in there, I should think there'll be apprehensions by now. Line made up. Stop. Global radio transmission of verdict to follow. Stop. Okay.
In motherland we say never judge by clothes, judge by head. I am convinced brothers are innocent.
Hold it!
Please tell me you're not violent Bolshevik? The Russian revolutionary? Revolutionary?
I believe there is such a rumor.
It's just a rumor?
As you see, I have unfortunate appearance. I look like a vicious criminal.
Your words, not mine. Just want to point that out.
People call me revolutionary, murderer, autocrat.
And which glove fits?
Good day, I am visiting London for sightseeing. I would like to take bus to Crystal Tower, please.
Right, that didn't sound staged at all. You'll forgive me for having my doubts.
To be treated like vicious criminal at all time, it is very painful. People do not realize. So I have much sympathies for these brothers. People say they are criminals only because of how they look.
The Skulkin brothers?
Maybe they went inside pawnbroker's shop, but they have done nothing wrong. That is all what I want to say.
The Skulkin brothers did nothing wrong that night? Alright. Well, first of all, that's one not so little misunderstanding I'll need to clear up straight away. Tell me something, Iris. What is it, Reno? The jurors are chosen at random from the inhabitants of London town, aren't they? Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? In that case, how is it that there's a Russian tourist sitting among them who looks for all the world like a revolutionary? I wish I knew. I wish I knew too. If I can't change the minds of more than half of these 6 jurors, the trial will be over. But we know that Ginny would never shoot anyone. Yeah, so we need to find contradictions in what these jurors are saying and pit them against each other. I must be ready to go to whatever lengths I have to convince them of Gina's innocence. Alright. There we go. And there we go. Those 2 statements clearly contradict each other.
Good lord! Counsel, explain yourself.
Oh my statement contradictory.
C-O-N...
Juror number 6, you've got the wrong end of the stick.
I do not have stick. I have mouse.
As juror number 2 said earlier, when the Skulkin brothers felt the scene of the night in question, they fired a shot from their revolver. Oui, they shot poor Mrs. Sholmes in the abdomen, I understand. Surely you're not gonna tell the court now that you didn't hear.
Abdomen. ABD.
Sir?
Sorry, my English is still learning.
You are telling the court you didn't hear?
Forgive me, I did not hear. Here's what. Abdomen. Part of person's body containing stomach and other vital organs. If this is what you mean, you should say in plain English. I am Russian, not native speaker.
Who thought it was a good idea to let this man be on the jury again?
So, you are telling me these brothers who look like criminals were lying? They said before we never done nothing, but truth is they shot detective. This is the double negative.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Lying is wrong, especially when lies said by person who look like criminal.
Coming from you, that seems surprisingly prejudiced.
This means when they said we never took nothing, maybe it was also a big fat lie. Is this true?
Well, according to the police report, no stolen goods were found, so...
Enough! I trust no one now.
It's not the mouse's fault, though, sir.
I must see with own eyes. I must investigate crime scene myself.
I'm afraid that won't be Yes, it is, Rena. Easily. Sorry. With the prints from Early's red-ended recorder. If you compare the print that pictures Ginny and the next print from half an hour later, you'll be able to see straight away if anything was taken or not. Coo-wee, Mr. Prosecutor.
Tut tut. Calling on the prosecution in the middle of a...
I've got Russian.
Calling on the prosecution in the middle of a summash examination of all times. The print showing the accused setting the victim after she broke into the shop is this one. Following this, the victim and the accused moved into the storeroom. Meanwhile, the Skulkin brothers entered the shop and summarily heard the fatal gunshot ring out. Sadly, none of these events were captured on film. This is a print produced by the camera half an hour later, after the brothers' flight.
So this was taken after Early was shot then, as far as I can tell. Nothing has been taken. That does seem to be the case. I can't notice anything that's obviously missing in the second print.
So, the brothers who look like criminals told only one lie. They shot men, but they stole nothing.
It would seem so, yes.
Good.
No, not good.
You were right. I did not understood situation. Now I know brothers have lied. I think it is very important to continue with trial.
Yay, well done, Reno. That balance is shifted. Well, it's a start, I suppose. But there must be more in what these jurors are saying that I can use to expose the truth. And if I can do that, we just might turn the situation to our favor still.
Thank you, counsel. Continue with the summation examination. And kindly hand that new photographic print to the bailiff to be filed as evidence.
There we go. There we go. Another print in the court record. I wonder if we can make use of that. Alright.
In lake of lies are many dead fish. We must find truth. Therefore I say not guilty verdict.
Oh.
Yeah.
Those brothers are the scum of the earth. They should swing for shooting the great detective. So she didn't think it was necessary to continue. Okay. We'll leave it for now. Alright. There we go. How about this print here? It should do the trick, I think.
Take that!
Alright then, juror number 3. Are you saying you can do this with any 2 suitable photographic prints?
Of course I can.
Very well then, I'd like you to demonstrate.
I'd be delighted to. Just give me one more print, and I'll amaze you all.
Take that!
Alright, these 2 prints were both taken with the same camera and Windy Banks on the night in question.
Yes, I see. Tell me, Mr. Lawyer, do you know how stereographic images work? Do you understand the principle?
Well, I think so. I did have a lesson only yesterday. The left and right eye images need to be the same, only with a slight shift in the positions of some objects. Then when your brain merges the 2 images together inside your head, it notices the shift as if it were depth.
Yes, exactly.
It's that small shift between certain objects in the 2 pictures that's really important. So what happens if you use 2 photographs that are exactly the same then?
No, obviously that wouldn't work at all. Not for seeing the scene 3-dimensionally anyway.
Oh. Oh! Of course. Now I see.
Ah, I think the young girl has discovered the secret.
I have. Can you uncross your eyes before you tell me? Have another look at these 2 pictures from Early's camera, Runo. Go on. Are they shifted? Slightly shifted? Can you see that there's a really obvious difference between them? The time. Of course there is. There are 2 people in the first and no people in the second. Well, yeah, you can see that straight away. But now, try looking at the pictures in 3 dimensions. Alright, I'll give it a go. So, to start with, you have to cross your eyes and then try to make the 2 pictures overlap exactly. Let's see if by crossing my eyes I can make the quill pens from each picture overlap in the middle. Wait. Well, did you manage to see it properly, Runo? Hold on. They're leaving it to me? Okay, fine. This... That... Let's just say that I did. Oh! What's going on with these 2 pictures? Some of the things on the counter sort of... they sort of jump out at you.
Yes, that's it, you see. That's the other amazing power of stereoscopes.
Other amazing power?
Is someone going to explain this black magic, eh? Why the Jews do some of the things on the counter seem to jump out at you like that, hmm?
I think you'll find that if you consider the basic principle of the stereoscope, you'll answer your own question.
Basic principles of the stereoscope?
As I said before, if you try to look at 2 identical pictures using a stereoscope, it won't work at all. It's a slight shift in the positions of certain objects that lets you see pictures 3-dimensionally.
In other words, even though at first glance it seems the objects on the counter haven't moved at all between the 2 pictures, this shows that actually there must have been a slight shift in their positions. Yeah, there must have been. Or in the camera.
Now hold fire there, sir. Got a reasonable grasp of this whole cross-eyed business now, I'd say. But why the devil does this shift between the 2 prints exist in the first place? Well, what's the answer, fella? Come on, you're the cross-eyed master.
What? Me? I haven't the first idea. You know, Runo, it's quite simple. It is? Just think it through step by step. The first photograph was taken at 1 AM. Then, 30 minutes later, the second photograph was taken, but the position of some items on the counter appears to have shifted slightly in the interim. So that means that sometime in the half-hour interval, someone must have tampered with the things on the counter?
Because
Someone tampered? New information. Stop. Not mentioned testimony so far. Stop. Yes. We've had to go around in circles a little here, it seems, but I'm starting to see what I should be aiming at in the summation examination now. Ladies and gentlemen, the question now is clear. We know the items on the countertop were moved, but by whom? Are you suggesting you might know? Of course. I can tell you right now who is responsible for the almost imperceptible shift in the items of the counter. Him. I don't know. Quite clearly, it was the work of this meddler.
I'm afraid you have digressed there, Counsel.
Oh.
It should not be clear even to you who is responsible for the impeachable shift in the direction of this trial towards the absurd.
Let me guess. Me?
Ding 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 ding! Shift aside, my Nipponese friend, and let the real lawyers do the talking.
Yeah, I really felt that one. If you think about it, it has to have been someone who was in Windy Banks when everything was going on, doesn't it? Well, yeah, that's true. So, that narrows it down quite a lot, I think. I'll have another look. We know somebody must have touched the things on Mr. Windybank's counter, so who was it? Ladies and gentlemen, the question now is clear. We know the items on the countertop were moved, but by whom?
Are you suggesting you might know?
Of course. I can tell you right now who is responsible for the almost imperceptible shift in the items on the counter. One of these thugs? We'll say him. There you go. It was the witnesses currently in the stand, the Skulkin brothers.
Wait. This does not agree with what brothers said in testimony before. They said they did not even have time to pull dukes from Lucy lockets. My first book says dukes is something meaning hands and Lucy locket meaning pockets. But is this another lie? Is this what you're saying?
Yes, I'm afraid so.
Hold on there a minute. You can't be sure of that.
I quite agree. The accused is a common pickpocket after all. It's perfectly possible that she went through the things on the desk to see what she might steal. I think that's unlikely.
And why exactly?
As you can see from this photographic print, the defendant was pointing a gun at the victim. It would seem, as my learned friend indicated, that she was coercing Mr. Windybank to open the storeroom door. In other words, Mr. Strahd's interest lay within the storeroom, not in the main shop, giving her no reason to touch anything on the counter. All of which points to one thing. The Skulkin brothers have omitted key facts in their testimony. But the accused is a big purse. Come on, got to charge. Why look any further for the wrongdoer here? Because the Skulkin brothers are thieves, madam. No better, in fact, worse than a pick purse. I believe that these two brothers were looking for something on the victim's counter that night. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, if you would condemn the defendant on the grounds that she's a pickpocket, would it not at least be right and proper to thoroughly scrutinize testimony given against her by two thieves?
Well said. I, for one, would like to hear more from that shady pair.
Can you all see now? I think you'll find Studious curves aren't playthings. You've seen their extraordinary potential firsthand. Wholeheartedly agree. Stop. Must purchase after trial. Stop. Will return home via Regent Street. Stop.
Well, it would seem this trial has yet to run its course. The ladies and gentlemen of the jury have declared their inclinations via the mighty scales of the justice. I hereby call this summation examination to conclusion with the balance altered in the defendant's favor. 2 lean to guilty, 4 lean to not guilty. Accordingly, the jury is without consensus. And I order this trial to continue.
Yeah, well done. Oh, by the way. What? You should hold on to this, Runo. You never know when it might come in useful. Twice in one trial would be unusual, surely. But alright. Why not?
Lord Van Zeeks, you will instruct the witnesses that the court demands an additional testimony from them.
I am sure it won't spoil the bouquet to do so, my lord.
I've won myself another chance to probe that pair about their activities that night, at least. And I won't stop probing them until I've proven that Gina is innocent. Probe. I'm gonna probe you until you pass out, boy.